Working in retail is not for the weak, I don't think. You know, you kind of have to have some mental fortitude and some stoicism involved in your heart, because like it can be kind of cruel, and some people may feel like things are kind of personal when people don't acknowledge you as a retail worker, I guess. Hi, my name is Malik Payton, and I am from San Francisco, California. Funny enough, I was never much of a fashion enthusiast. My uncle, who I grew up around, he was big on Jordans and LRG and Echo and Ed Hardy. And that kind of, spilled into what I like to wear. My mom, she's like big into Gucci and all kinds of top designers and stuff like that. And I never really had a love for fashion per se. I got this job here through meeting the owner and being friends with the owner of Chameleon Vintage before Chameleon was even a thing, through music. So I make music, and that led me into this position now, working at Chameleon Vintage.
My name is Eva. I'm 23 years old, and I'm from Illinois. I used to work at a candy store, also on Haight, and I worked there for like 5 years. I just love just the interaction, and my passion's mental health, and I've always thought retail is it's almost like mental health. You're selling someone kind of like a little piece of happiness, and I think when done right, it can be very vulnerable and enjoyable. But I met Christiana. She's the owner and designer of the store, and she's a single mom, and I just really fell in love with her style, and her little boy is super sweet, so I just wanted to help out. And yeah, and clothes also a very intimate way to bond with someone.
There were a couple instances throughout my 2 years of working at Chameleon that provided me with enlightenment on being at the right place at the right time, for sure, yeah. And those moments all involved talking with customers. It would just be kind of like that conversation with an old friend you haven't seen for a long time, except I shared that conversation with hundreds of strangers, honestly, just talking to them. In those moments of clarity and that feeling of being seen and letting these people know that they are seen as well, I found that, I'm living in my gift by having these conversations and having these small moments, i.e. being on the right path.
The other day I had this girl come in, and she was going out for the first time in a while, and we just picked an outfit together, and just seeing the way she looked at herself in the mirror and how good she felt, I was like, man, this is a pretty beautiful thing. So I guess that's a moment.
What I enjoy the most about day-to-day work here at Chameleon Vintage is I'm always learning something new, whether it's from a customer telling me about something they've studied, or just literally observing the outside world right outside the shop. I think learning is a big thing, and it's probably the best part about this job. Just learning about all the little walks of life that pass by Haight Street, and just knowing what people are into, I guess, nowadays, what people are searching for.
I like that, helping someone out, showing someone that they can pull off something that maybe they didn't think about before, helping people build a look. That's the best part.
I have changed my perception because of this job in retail in many different categories of my life, right? For one instance, working in retail, we're told to greet every customer and provide a nice experience for shoppers. So one thing I learned is when you say welcome in to an individual who comes inside the store and they don't acknowledge you, or maybe they look at you like you killed their best friend, even though you just said welcome in the warmest way you could from the bottom of your soul, I found that we should never let our experiences with one individual distinguish or produce how we treat the next individual. So like, if I say welcome in, and the person looks at me like I kicked their dog, it doesn't mean the next person that comes in, I'm just gonna look at him and be like, you know, I'm not gonna say welcome into you. You know, not letting my heart go cold, I guess, is a way that this job has kind of helped me, because working in retail is not for the weak, I don't think. You know, you kind of have to have some mental fortitude and some stoicism involved in your heart, because like it can be kind of cruel, and some people may feel like things are kind of personal when people don't acknowledge you as a retail worker, I guess.
I have like a greater appreciation for like aesthetics and like beauty and like all forms and challenges. I don't know, I feel like positivity, I've definitely like, I'm like 100% like pro positivity now, because I just like, in the workplace, it benefits me, it benefits like the customer, it's just, yeah, so I approach challenges with positivity more.
I try to remind myself that any obstacle in front of me is nothing compared to everything I've already faced. Because I'm 24 years old, I have at least 24 years worth, on average, of moments that felt like the end of the world, moments where I didn't know what I would be able to do next, and moments that felt like the end. And all those moments subsided. I either found a solution, got through it, or made peace with it. And what that tells me is any obstacle in front of me is nothing compared to everything I've faced. Even if it's daunting and stressful, or I don't have an immediate solution, or it's a problem I've just never faced before, I know with a calculated faith in myself that compared to the trials and tribulations I've already accumulated in my 24 years, it's really nothing compared to that. You know, and so anytime there is a hard moment, I try to, one, collect myself internally in my mind, and two, I try to, you know, ask myself, hey, why am I upset? Or why do I feel this way? Or why am I angry? Or, you know, I try to ask those questions. So I would say, you know, introspection mixed with a calculated faith in the experiences I've already had, mixed with an understanding that what hurts now and what feels scary now might not feel that way a week later, or a month later, or 2 years later. That is like the biggest thing, right? Is just my thoughts, allowing my thoughts to crystallize into newer habits, and having those newer habits dictate my circumstance in a better way, right? Because if I have good thoughts, then I have good habits. And if I have a good habit, then I have a good future, right? So I would say that's like my best key to obstacles and, you know, dealing with the day-to-day things that might distress me. I think to be a successful retail worker, you really have to study some stoicism and stoic values. Just to paraphrase the gist of stoicism, it's really just your thoughts and actions are your own, so don't let other people's thoughts and actions influence your thoughts and actions. And don't let your thoughts and actions, you know, influence others. Like, really, we should be stoic in a manner that's like, it's like what other people do really can't affect you, you know? I have a job here to do as a retail worker, but in order to perform as efficiently as possible, I think having that disconnected layer of stoicness like inside me is really important, but also just guarding your heart from criticism and compliments, honestly. Not letting that shit bleed into your heart and letting it dilute what you're here to do.
Yeah, like positivity, like I said, and just openness, like with people, like social openness. Also, I found like I kind of have to like, this new, like working at the clothing store versus like the candy store, I kind of have to like show people some things, like kind of push them a little bit, which I'm not used to, like pushing people onto things, but that's sometimes how people find like the best thing. Like if I show them something they might not have picked out themselves.
Outside of retail, I'm a musician, and I've traveled around the world, done some dope performances in like London and Japan and Amsterdam, and I would say that, you know, the biggest role model for me would have to probably be my mom. She is a very strong person, and she is just, you know, she played both roles for me growing up because I didn't have a father figure involved in my childhood. That being said, she played both parts, and she showed me resiliency and kindness. She was hard at times, but she was also very warm and soft and caring for me as well. And you know, her habits of working hard, she would work 3-4 jobs. She would barely be home, but she would always work hard, and at times she would make sure there was, you know, something good for me. You know, she'd take me on a trip, or maybe she would buy me a Lego box or some. But really my mom, she inspires me the most in my field because, you know, I asked my mom when I was young, I said, you know, do good people exist in this world? And she said, Malik, good people exist, but the world could always use more. And that's always kind of stuck with me on my path. I think everyone on earth was born with a gift, and I think you just have to give that gift out to the world as many times as possible, regardless of if you get notoriety for it, or money, or if you can't have a personal life because of this. You know, I think you have to give your gift out as many times throughout your life as possible. And my mom taught me that, because my mom is just, she's so kind, and she's always trying to help others. So I think, you know, she's my biggest inspiration. Besides that, it'd probably have to be the people closest to me, my coworkers and my friends, my boss even. He's an exemplary person, only 27, 28, with 3 storefronts and a 9-to-5, you know, and he curates everything at all 3 stores. So it's like, the people closest to me really have shaped me. I really would not be where I am or who I am without the patience, care, and virtue that they've given me.
Probably my dad. My dad's an artist, so he's always like selling himself, and like you have to be like a little like egotistical, and I think it's the same here. Like to like push something I have to sell like onto someone, I think I have to be a little egotistical like him. So that's definitely like a role model. Help like expand someone's mind, like even with just something as simple as like clothing, but also confidence. Like, you know, I think that's something a lot of people like have a hard time with, and also that just by like trying on clothes and like experimenting with clothes, and like, you know, you can like open up to another person like so easily, and have a good time with another person easily. I feel like so much of fashion nowadays is like, you know, like fast fashion is kind of like taking over, and you can feel it like in clothes. You can feel, it feels like a dead item, and you can feel that it was like never touched by human hands like in its making, or it was touched by like mistreated human hands, like, which is even sadder. But like when something is made intentionally, like, and you see like, I don't know, you can see the evidence of craftsmanship, like that's like energy, I don't know, and it flows right into you like when you put the item on. Develop like a genuine love for the things you have to offer. I think people can tell when you actually like the thing that you're trying to sell them. So yeah, find a way to really be into it.